rather buy books and read books than do drugs. So that's a win in my opinion. This is everything I own that I read in the month of March. Now, I did not think this through. I probably should not have picked them up like that. But you live and you learn. Okay, so obviously that's a lot of books. However, that's not also all I read, because I do have like this little graphic I post on Instagram. If you follow me there, you'll see my updates throughout the month. Now this is March's reading wrap up. So I think what we're gonna do, I'm gonna try to put these in order of how I read them, and I'll put pictures on the screens for the ones I don't physically own. And then I will go ahead and get this edited and posted today. And then sometime throughout the week, I will film and edit and post April's. Like, I'm trying not to post too close together, but at this point, like, I'm behind of what I want to post, and I keep forgetting I have YouTube. So I'm trying to get better about posting more consistently. So with that being said, I think we're just gonna go ahead and dive right in. I got my covfefe, my coffee. Black Rock Coffee Bar. There's one like close to our apartment. This is the Oreo chiller with no whipped cream, because whipped cream is disgusting. I said what I said. I stand on business with that. I cannot stand whipped cream. It's a consistency thing, and it doesn't taste like anything in my opinion. So before I start ranting about how much I hate whipped cream, let's go ahead and just get into this reading wrap up. So according to my little graphic for Instagram that I use, my first two books that I read were actually arcs. I think they came out, let me double check. They came out at the beginning of March, I want to say, or middle of March, somewhere like that. The first one is Shoot Your Shot by Lexi LaFleur Brown. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I'm so sorry if I just butchered your name. I did give it 4.25 stars. I listened to the advanced listeners copy of this. I got the audio, or like the arc of it, ALC from it, whatever you want to call it, from NetGalley. I really liked it. I'm a hoe for a good hockey romance though. I've said that once, I'll say it again. I love a good hockey romance. So this was right up my alley. She's kind of like a black cat, FNC, and he's like a golden retriever. He's a little misunderstood. He struggles with his mental health some. They were not my favorite couple that I've ever read, but I did really like the book, and I want more. So like whenever the author gets around to writing the rest of the series, I 100% will be reading them about Jalen's team members. I think that's his name. Oh my goodness, is that not his name? Why am I blanking? Where's my, I think it's Jalen. It's been a while since I've read it. Give me one second. Let me go find my review, because my brain is so scatterbrained and I'm lost in the sauce at the moment. Shoot Your Shot. Is that his name? Yeah, Jalen. Okay, so I'm not completely crazy, okay? I do remember some things. Yeah, it's like black cat, golden retriever, and then also, which I love that trope, because that's me and my husband. He is the golden retriever, I'm the black cat. So like anything with that trope, or like Grumpy Sunshine, I'm there for it automatically. I love it. Also, it's a hockey romance, and I fucking love hockey. So I 100% would recommend checking this author out. I think this is her debut author. Her debut author. I think she's a debut author. I think this was her debut novel. I really liked it, and I know she's planning to write the rest of Jalen's team members, so I cannot wait for that. I want it. I'm ready for it. I need it. Now, the next arc I read was Scott and Bthered by Alexandra Keeley? I'm not sure how you say it. From what I've been told, this is actually book 2. Like, there's one that comes before this, and I did not read that one because I did not know they were connected. You can read this without reading the other book, because I didn't read the other book. I listened to this book from NetGalley as well. I gave this one 4 stars out of 5. So I really liked it. I will say the audiobook, the male narrator does have an accent, which y'all know I'm a hoe for a good accent. I love a good accent. They're traveling. She is writing she's like a ghostwriter / aspiring author. She is writing her like mentor / idols, I guess I don't know what to call the person that she's like infatuated, like looks up to. And the person memoir or biography that she's writing, the photographer that goes with her is not only her ex, but I think his nephew, or is her mentor's like nephew. Could be cousin. I think it's nephew. So there's a little bit of like a second chance there. There's forced proximity. They do share a tent. That scene was hilarious. I love that scene. So yeah, we have Scott and Bthered. I've almost picked this up at the store many times. Like when I've gone to Barnes & Noble since it's come out, I've seen it a couple times. I will be buying a physical copy of this book eventually because I did really like it. And I think I'm going to try to force Shannon to read it because we try to force each other to read books all the time. So I liked that one a lot. Now, I was trying to read more of my physical TBR and buy less books in March. If you saw my like numbers video over on Book Talk, I do keep track every month. For March, that did not go well. It was my birthday month, so I bought a lot of books. But I did also read a few off of my physical TBR. Starting with Bad Boys After Dark, Mick by, oh, it's like shiny. It's like glossy because of the sun. That's why we're facing a different direction today. But it's by Melissa Foster. It's the Bad Boys After Dark series. I started it. This is book 1. It's Mick. I really like Mick's story, okay? I forget her name. Amanda Jenner. Okay, we have Amanda and we have Mick. I liked them. She is his, like, assistant or... She does something in his law firm. Like, he's an attorney. He's an entertainment attorney. And he is... They both are, like, infatuated. I think they, like, fake date for a while. Y'all, it's been a while since I've read this. My brain is, like... What the heck? I'm still stuck on, like, Tay James series that I've read this month. Or in April, so... Excuse me, mind my scattered brain. Y'all are probably used to this by now. But I really liked them. They basically, I want to say, I'm pretty sure it starts with them like at a party or like a masquerade. That's why she has like a mask on. And he recognizes her, but she doesn't recognize him. And they both have been yearning after each other for a while. And I really liked it. I liked it enough that I picked up book 2. However, I will be honest. I did DNF book 2. Let me see. Yeah, I liked this one. I gave it 3.5 stars. Not my favorite book in the world, but also it's been on my TBR for a while, so I was trying to read more of my physical TBR, and I found the audiobooks on Hoopla. So after this, I went right into book 2, which is Bad Boys After Dark, and his name is Dylan. I DNF'd it because of the name. I have an ex named Dylan. Actually, I have 2. Well, I have a full X and then like a kind of sort of X, and the name Dylan for me is just not sexy. Like, they were trying to get it on and she would moan his name and it took me out of the story, and I couldn't focus on anything that was being said. Anytime his name was said, it just, romance is to escape life. I dated a Dylan. This was just not for me. I DNF'd. I'm sure it's fine. Like, from what I read and what I remember, I liked it. He is a bar owner / redoing his condo, and she is I think she's an attorney. No, she's a sports agent. That's what it is. And he is like lusting after her and wants her, and she is like hesitant and reluctant. But I mean, eventually, you know, he wears her down and they end up together, I'm assuming. Actually, no, I know they do because I finished the other 2 books, not in March, but in April. So I know they end up together because they're mentioned later on in the other stories. But I think I DNF'd halfway through it. I could not get over the character's name. And I know that's a petty reason to DNF, but I've seen people DNF for worse. So... It is what it is. I couldn't do it. It took me out of the story. So, we have that. Then, I did start my Ali Hazelwood era, or journey. I read Love Hypothesis. Yes, I have the Book of the Month book for Love Hypothesis. I've had this since like 2022. I finally have read it. It says 2022 Book of the Year finalist. I don't actually... This was September 21. This was the book of the month for September of 2021. I've had book of the month since like 2020, I think. Yeah, so I had this for 3 to 4 years before I read it. It is what it is. I finally have read it though, and I really liked it. Like, I don't know why the hell it took me so long to read this book. Like, now I understand the hype around Ali Hazelwood, and I 100% will be reading every other thing that she's written, including Love on the Brain. I already read it. I read both of these in March. I liked both of them. I think I liked Love on the Brain just slightly more. Let me see. What did I rate them? So I gave Love Hypothesis 4.5 stars, and I gave Love on the Brain 4.75 stars. I liked that the FMC and the MMC actually had more of like, it was mistaken, so there was a little bit of miscommunication, but it was mistaken enemies to lovers, whereas Adam in this just hates everybody except her. And like, I liked that. But I think Love on the Brain was a little better, in my opinion. But I loved both of these. I 100% would recommend them. Now I don't know where else to go with my Ali Hazelwood journey. Like, I don't know what to read next. So if you have a recommendation, let me know. Here's another book I did not care about. I read this one though. Okay, I did finish it. It was a book club book. My friend Megan, she has a book club. We're in it. We have like a Discord book club thing. A lot of my book talk friends have joined it. I can talk to her about putting the link up if you guys want. However, we read, I don't have the physical book and I probably will never own it. We read Haunted Love by Sheridan Ann. I'll put a picture so y'all know. I gave it 3.25 stars. I loved the FMC and the MMC. However, what drove me up the wall, I'm trying not to give too many spoilers, but it's like best friend's brother or brother's best friend. So there's a little bit of like a forbidden touch there. Like her brother has forbidden his friends from like touching his sister. And so of course, you know, they touch and she ends up at a sex club and the person she loses her virginity to happens to be her brother's best friend. And she doesn't put two and two together and recognize it's him until like later on, except he recognizes her immediately. Or almost immediately, I want to say like the next day he recognizes her, or puts two and two together. I did not like the brother. Austin ruined this story for me, okay? I was so ready to give this 5 stars, and the more that character opened his damn mouth, the less I liked it. I also didn't like her best friend. I didn't like either of them. I felt like they were both awful people. They were awful characters. I vividly remember being so angry when like the whole big like everything blew up and they found out like that they were fucking around, and you know like when it came out that she was messing around with Isaac, like obviously that's gonna come out, like it's a book, that always happens. But Austin's reaction, which is her brother, I just made me want to throw hands, like violently throw hands. I was so irked. I was just like, okay, why am I even reading this? Like every decision that they made, every thought that they had, everything was centered around Austin, and he wasn't even the main character. Like it felt like it was more about Austin's feelings than both the main characters, and I could rant about this book all day, okay? I did not hate the book, I just hated Austin, so that affected my rating, and I was so ready to give it 5 stars. Could not give it 5 stars after Austin. I just couldn't do it. I simply refused. Now, the next book I read, y'all know I am an Elsie Silver girl through and through. I have a whole Elsie shelf up here. I love Elsie Silver, okay? So this was no surprise. I gave Wildside, what did I give it? 5 stars. Wildside by Elsie Silver. This is her newest book in the Rose Hill series. This was West? No, not West. Oh my god, what is his name? Reese. He is a wrestler. Had no idea I was into that in books, but apparently I am. We have Reese and we have Tabitha. And I believe she is her nephew's guardian, but Reese wants to take him. It's a whole thing, y'all. He's also like a secret wrestler. Look, it's got artwork in it. Now I will say Reese almost beat West for me, which West is book 2's MMC. I love the way Elsie Silver writes her men, okay? Like every book by Elsie Silver has been a 5-star, has been a hit. If it's not 5 stars, it's like really fucking close. It's like 4.5 or 4.75. I think there's 1 or 2 I didn't give 5 stars to. But like, I love the Chestnut Spring series. I love the Gold Rush Ranch series. And I'm loving Rose Hill, okay? I could go on and on and on about her freaking men that she writes. There's just something enticing about them. Like, and I love that this series, specifically the Rose Hill series, is all single dads. Enough said. Reese technically isn't a dad, but he's a dad. When you read it, you'll understand. I loved this so much. I love the progression of their relationship. I love that it was like a marriage of convenience / fake dating kind of sort of situation. I ate it up. Okay, I loved it. I said what I said. If you didn't like this book, I don't want to know about it because I am a sensitive soul, and I love Reese and I love Tabitha and I loved her nephew. I forget her nephew's name off the top of my head, but I love it. Okay, her nephew was adorable. Okay, anything with a book and a single parent, I'm gonna eat it the fuck up. Okay. Did I say a kid? Anything with a book and a single parent? Anything with a kid and a single parent, especially when the kid is a super adorable. I don't know what I said. I'll see when I'm editing this back, but Wildside by Elsie Silver. If you haven't read it yet, cannot recommend it enough. Now, after Wildside, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back and read an arc I was supposed to read like 2 to 3 years ago, and I completely did not read it in time. It's called Forget Me Twice. It is by Carrie Taylor. I gave it 3.25 stars, so I liked it. So basically what happens, I'm not a huge fan of like the amnesia trope, okay? Her ex-husband crashes his plane in her town and she is his emergency contact, so she gets the call from the hospital, and they're like, oh, your husband's here, and she's like, what the heck? And so she goes, and they tell her, you know, he's got amnesia, he can't remember anything, he thinks it's 2 years ago, and so he thinks they're still married, and she knows that they had a really bad divorce, and so it's a whole thing. He eventually remembers. They work it out, obviously, because it's a romance book. There's a happily ever after. It wasn't one of my favorite stories ever, because the amnesia trope, I think, it can be done right, but more times than not, I'm not going to really like it. It was a free book that I listened to on Hoopla, so it would no skin off my back. It was an audiobook that I was supposed to read a while ago, or arc I was supposed to read a while ago, so I did finally get to rate it on NetGalley, and it helped my NetGalley rating, so that was the plus side of that. But it wasn't my favorite book of the month. I liked it more than Haunted Love. So, and I didn't DNF it, so that says something. Then I did get a little bit into a Why Choose mood. I was very heavily into Why Choose the rest of the month. And that's going to show here in a minute. I did read The Perfect Fit by Sadie Kincaid. I gave it 4.75 stars. I loved it. I ate it up. I think Shannon told me to read this, I want to say, a little over a year ago, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll get to it. And then I read it, and I was talking to her about it, and I didn't realize this was the book she was telling me to read for the last year and a half, and she was just like, wait, I told you to read that a while ago. And I was like, I didn't know, but I'm reading it now, and I loved it. Okay, I loved it. It is, I think it's only 2 guys. I don't think technically it's a Why Choose. I might be wrong. Hold on. Let me double check. Where's my Goodreads? Let's see. The Perfect Fit. I don't think it's technically a Why Choose. Oh no, it is. Okay, I was completely forgetting a person. Yeah, because I knew of West Archer and I knew of Xander King. I forgot about Ezekiel. It is a Why Choose, okay? It is a Why Choose. I forgot about a person. It's fine. It happens. It was a month and a half ago when I read this book. It was a while ago. Okay? I liked it. I would read it again. The spice in that book was spicing. I fucking ate it up. I loved it. It was great. Okay? Now, if there's one thing to note about me, it is that I love Tay James. Obviously, by this shelf here, the shelf here, which there's a few books missing because I'm about to show you them. The shelf over here, I have this shelf here, and then this shelf is Tay James, but most of those are off the shelf because I read them in April. So, obviously, I'm a Tay James stan. I love her. Okay? Now, I want to read all of her books in this year. All of her audiobooks that are available on Audible by December 31st, I want to have read them. So, even though I've read this series, actually these 3 series, multiple times, I want to say this was my 3rd or 4th reread, I did decide to go ahead and reread the Madison Kate, Hades, and the Guild series. So we have Madison Kate, which I just have the discreet indie covers. So we start with Hate, then we have Liar, then we have Fake, and then we have Kate. Now I'm pretty sure, let me double check my rating here. Yeah, it was a reread. They were great. I'm obsessed with Tay James audiobooks. Lucas Webley, he could do no wrong in my opinion. I will listen to anything that man, he could narrate a grocery list and I would listen to it, okay? I love his narrations. And he does all 3 guys. It is a Why Choose. We have, I almost said Lucas, that's Hades, wrong series. We have Steele, who is my personal favorite. We have Lucas, and then we also have Archer. Oh my God, not Lucas. Again, I'm mixing up the series. We have Steele, who's my favorite. We have Cody, who is Shannon's favorite. And then we have Archer, which I don't think I know anybody that is Archer's favorite. Everybody seems to like Cody or Steele. But Archer's great. I didn't really care for him. He kind of pissed me off until like the 3rd book. And then I was like, you're okay. You can stay. Yeah, but I mean, the first time I read through this, Steele was my favorite, which I'm not going to give spoilers. If you've read them, the worst cliffhanger, you're going to want all books when you read these, by the way. If you go through and you read these, Tay James I love her, but she is like notorious for cliffhangers, okay? She will leave your heart wrenched out of your soul and just jaw open on the floor, what the fuck, freaking the hell out. So you want the whole series before you read them, okay? Just saying. I love them. I could talk about Tay James all freaking day. So this is Madison Kate. You read these 4 first. So Hate, Liar, Fake, and Kate. And then if you want to read the Shadow Grove world in order, you go into her Hades series. Now, this is my personal favorite series. These, again, are just the indie discreet covers. So we have Seventh Circle Witches first. We have Anarchy. We have Club 22. And then we have Timber. And I do not want to say who is who in this series because you're not supposed to know until you go into it. It is Another Why Choose. Our 3 men are Cass, or Cassiel, Cassiel, however you say his full name. I just call him Daddy Cass, okay? That's what TikTok calls him. That's how I know him. He is my personal favorite. We have Zed, who's called Zeddy Bear, and then we have Lucas, who's Gumjob. And I'm not going to say who Hades is because you're not supposed to know until you read it. Now, this series, I will say this one is much darker than Madison Kate. I will say check your trigger warnings for all of Tay James series, but specifically, this one had some much darker content, especially like 3 and 4. Like, there is one character I would physically throw hands with if I could pick any physical character from or like any fictional character from a book to beat their ass. Chase would be the Chase, top of the list, ready to go, ready to rock the socks off of him because I cannot stand that man. I know he's fictional, okay? I'm aware. I've read the series multiple times. I'm aware he's not legit. I hate him. It makes me think of that Michael Scott moment from The Office. It's like, is there no way we can get rid of him? And I think it's Toby. He's like, not without cause, Michael. Or whoever from the higher ups is like, not without cause, Michael. And he's like, I have cause. It is because I hate him. That's how I feel about Chase. Okay? That is wrapped up. Now, I will say, I did not reread the novella for Madison Kate. But technically, even though this is a novella from Madison Kate, you're supposed to read it after Hades so that there's no spoilers for part of Hades. I think you can read it after like book 2 or 3, but I just read, how I originally read the series was Madison Kate, Hades, The Vault, and then I went into the Guild. So, do what you want. You read it how you want to read it if you're going to read it. I highly recommend reading it in order so all of the dots connect properly and you get the full story and the full world as you're supposed to. Why is there just a dude walking around? Okay, he's gone now. Oh, excuse me. But you don't have to read them in order, but I would highly recommend it just so you get the full scope of everything. Now, after you read Hades, whether you read the novella or not for Madison Kate, you go into the Guild series. Now, this is not a Why Choose. This is just there's 1 FMC and 2 MMCs. Like, towards the end, they're a throuple, but the guys do not have anything to do with each other. Actually, the guys hate each other. Like, they loathe each other. They despise each other at the beginning of the series. They cannot stand each other. And they eventually learn to get along for her. I don't mind Danny. She's not my favorite FMC. These are in the wrong order. I don't mind Danny. I also really like Kai and I really like Leon. So I like the men in this series. I know one of my friends, I think Jess, cannot stand the series because she cannot stand Danny. She thinks she's a whitey bitch, which, you know, to each of their own. I like Danny, but I do agree with Jess's opinion to a certain point. She thinks like mercenaries are supposed to be like these hard badasses and Danny's a little whiny. So I get where Jess is coming from on that, but I do love this series. There is a specific scene. I cannot tell you which book it is off the top of my head. I'd have to go through and find it. There is a scene. I love that Kai calls Leon Murder Rabbit. I don't know how to say it in the language that he says it in, but he calls him Murder Rabbit. And at one point, Leon goes on a killing spree, singing Red by Taylor Swift. I'm a giant Swiftie, so that scene is like implemented into my brain. I fucking love it. I eat it up. It is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. It's one that I look forward to anytime I decide to pick the series back up. But like I said, I've loved Tay James. I've read this 2 or 3 times. Actually, I think this was my 3rd reread for the Guild. And she never disappoints. Okay, Tay James will always hit. Always is going to be great. Now, I don't think I gave my ratings. Surprise, surprise. I gave them all 5 stars. For Madison Kate, Hades, and I think the only one in the Guild I didn't give 5 stars to was Honey Trap, and I gave it 4 stars. Just as a reread, I was like, okay, it's a little slower than I thought it was. So I gave that one 4 stars. I was being nitpicky, but it's okay. It happens. Now, let me see. Okay. Part of why I read Allie Hazelwood was because I was going to an author event in Austin Austin, Texas, with one of my best friends who wanted to go see Alex Astor because she was in the middle of reading Lightlark, and I had started Lightlark, but I hadn't finished it. And then I got the arc for Summer in the City by Alex Astor, and I was like, oh yeah, let's go to the signing. Why the heck not? I think we have just like the normal version. I don't know. It's like the pink version. It's got the pretty cityscape on it. But when we went to the signing, this was already pre-signed, but she did add a heart on mine. I love it. It's so pretty. I really liked this. Okay, I'm a sucker for a good billionaire romance if you haven't figured that out so far. And this one, now, I think it was technically enemies to lovers, but they were not like true enemies. Like, I don't think it was enemies to lovers. I think it was more miscommunication at the beginning. He mistakes her for a call girl or a prostitute. And she gets pissed off and holds a grudge, and years later they end up living in the same building while she's trying to finish a book. I think she's a ghostwriter or a screenwriter. Nobody really knows who she is though. She writes under a pen name. And he is just like this billionaire, this like tech guy, you know, technology, something with technology. And he's like one of the most eligible bachelors, I believe, or like Forbes list or something like that. And so they keep running into each other. It's, you know, it's the typical like, oh, I can't escape you. Like, it is what it is. You're just here. I'm going to pretend you're not here. And then eventually he somehow ends up showing her around the city and showing her all the places in the movie that she's supposed to write about. There was a third act breakup, and I hated their third act breakup because it did not have to be a third act breakup. Okay. They could have worked through it. And I like, the more I think about it, the more I understand it. Like, I get why she did what she did. However, it still pissed me the fuck off. So I was a little petty with that. I gave it 4.5 stars. I did listen to the arc. I also owned the audiobook because one of my friends wanted to listen to it, so I got the audiobook for them because a lot of friends use my Audible. I loved it. I love the pretty pink edges. Alex Astor is a sweetheart. She's adorable. She's so cute in person. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. Maybe if I can figure it out, I'll throw the picture up from when me and my best friend took pictures with her after as she was signing our books. But she is such a sweetheart. I did take Lightlark, the Lightlark series, and got that signed as well. I just haven't finished the series yet, but I highly recommend Summer in the City by Alex Astor. It's also a really perfect summer book. Like, I read this in spring or right before spring, and I ate it up. Like, I want to reread it in the summer to feel like I'm in New York City in the summer. Like, it was so good. It's so descriptive. I felt like I was in the story. I felt like I knew these characters. I loved it. I just hated the third act breakup. So I was a little petty with my rating. But I did give it 4.5 stars. So do with that what you will. I don't personally rate spice, but there's a little bit of spice in it. Because spice is subjective, okay? I'm not going to sit there and rate spice. Because what I think is spicy, you may not think is spicy. And vice versa. So there are some spicy scenes. That is all I will say, though. Then I think the other two books I finished were also arcs. They did not come out until April though. I finished them in March. So we have Unlikely Neighbors by Renee Daniel Flagler. I'm not sure how you say that last name. Unlikely Neighbors. I did listen to this. I gave it 4.5 stars. I liked it. She's adopted. Is she though? You know, with what I know from the book, I don't know if she was ever like fully adopted or like officially adopted. And when you read it, that will make a lot more sense. She gets contacted by like an attorney or a state, like an executor, somebody for like her great aunt, I think it is who this person is, or her grandmother, like her biological great aunt or biological grandmother. And it's like, oh, we have this estate, like you're the heir, like congratulations. So she basically has to stop her life and go to New York to clean out this woman's house that she's never met. She starts finding all these things out about her life. And while she's doing all of this and finding her biological connection and her family and all of this, and why does my hair look orangey? It's just the lighting. It's not orange. It's brown. I promise. What? It just threw me off. I'm so sorry, y'all. I got distracted by the camera. Anyways. Oh, while she's like in New York cleaning out her grandmother or her aunt. I think it's her great aunt. I could be wrong on that. I don't have a physical book to look, so excuse me if I missed some details. She meets the hot next door neighbor. I mean, we can all guess what happens from there, right? Because it's a romance book. There's a happily ever after. She does have to confront her adoptive mom about some things. Comes to find out there's a lot of family secrets she did not know, and she finds who she is, essentially. I do believe she stays in New York. I don't think she moves, because she was in the process of moving out of the small town that she lived in the South, and her mom was like super upset about it, and her sister was upset she was leaving. It was a whole thing. Okay. I will say though, I did enjoy it. I did like it. I would recommend the book. Check your trigger warnings though, because I think there's not like dark romance trigger warnings, but like I think there's a couple mentions of like mental health issues. So just know that going into it so that you're not blindsided or you're not triggered potentially. I liked it. I would read it again. I'm probably going to try to make Shannon read it. I think she would really like it. Then I think this is the last book. I feel like I've been talking forever. The last book is Save the Date by Allison Raskin. Yeah. I almost DNF'd this. I was a little apprehensive. I did end up giving it 4.5 stars because I did really like it. Like the beginning was very slow. The beginning was a little weird to me. I was kind of irked by the beginning. So the premise of it is this woman was supposed to be getting married. Her ex-fiance is just like, yeah, no, I'm good, deuces and dips. So she's like temporarily living with her parents. She is trying to find a replacement groom. And that's where I'm like, weddings are supposed to be, you know, people in love, like happily ever after. Like I'm happily married. I love my husband, but like I could not imagine just picking a random dude off the street and have married him. Like that is, it's a little crazy. It's called Save the Date. She wants to essentially keep her wedding the exact same and just replace the groom. So she's trying to find a groom within like a 6-month time frame or something like that. It's kind of nuts. I was just a little thrown off by it. I do like the progression of the story though. I like how it ended. I'm not going to say any spoilers. And I loved like the side characters too, like her parents, her friends, a couple of different guys that she goes on dates with were like, what are you doing with your life? Who am I to judge though? But I personally would recommend it. I did like it enough to give it 4.5 stars. It was not a 5-star read. It had potential to be if the beginning hadn't been so, what the fuck are you doing? You know? Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I don't know. But I liked it enough that I'm going to keep reading. If the author ever has a different series or makes more books, I will check them out. I don't know if this was like her debut, but this one came out on the 8th of April. So it is out. You can read it. And Unlikely Neighbors came out on the 1st of April. So I did quite enjoy it. I liked all of these books that I read. I feel like I had a really good reading month. Yeah, I had a really good reading month, although the only ones that came off of my physical TBR were, let's see, how many books in total? I think only like 5. Oh no, that's not. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I read and 1 that I DNF'd. So we have 6 books in total that came off of my physical TBR, which, you know, considering I read 24 books, that's not bad. I'll take it. A win is a win. Now I have to put these up. Yeah, I'm not going to combine March and April because I read 32 books in April, or I listened to 32 books in April, so yeah, that needs to be its own separate video because I've been talking for half an hour about 24 books. It's going to take me a while to get through all 32. So I will stop this now. I will go film and edit this. I will go edit this and then I will film and edit my April reading wrap up. And that should be posted soon. Hopefully sometime later this coming week or by next weekend. We will see though. I do have a crap ton of books everywhere. Like, here, I'll try to show you. This big ass pile right here. This stack is everything I read off of my physical TBR in April. These are all books I got in April, and then those over there in the corner are a bookshelf for upstairs, and then some of my like religious books that I have. Obviously not Faith with Benefits by Lily Gold, if you can make that out. That is not a religious book. That is a Why Choose. I almost read that in April. I did not get to it though. That all needs to go upstairs except for Lily Gold. It needs to stay down here. I need to read that one. But that is my March reading wrap up. March was a really good month. I will say I did buy more books than I thought I was going to buy. Here, real quickly. I was not planning to do this, but I do have the numbers here. So I will, I will go over them with y'all if you want. which if you want, you can just sit and listen and stay. If not, you can scroll or watch something else. So in March, I started March with, I don't know where my starting books is. Oh, 1,362 books in the month of March is what I started with. And then of that number, I had 298 duplicates. I like to say I somehow acquired them. I know how I acquired them. I bought them, or they were pre-orders that got delivered really late. So we have a total of 42 books gained in my duplicates in the month of March. So that put me at 332. Then my red books, not as bad as my duplicates, but still not the greatest, you know. This math don't math. Oh, it does. Okay, never mind. So my red books, or my red pile, started at 392 books. I read I read 4 off of my TBR. What am I talking about? I don't know. I have 24 in total, so I bought 24 books that were duplicates, or I gained, or like I moved books over from my red books. Eventually, I don't know. There are 24 books, which put me on 416, and then it has 2, so my total was 418. I think the 2 were I read off of my physical TBR in March. I don't know. I don't know exactly how my math here is working. This was a month and a half ago. This was over a month ago, so my brain is not. Oh well. Now, I will say March was a little crazy. For my TBR, I started March with 672 books on my physical TBR. That was 672 books in this room that I had not read that I needed to. However, I then also bought all of Rena Kent's books, which some of those did go in my red pile and some of them went on my TBR, or my duplicates. So I do have all of those. However, Jess also sent me a box with 31 books in it that were on my TBR. So I gained 67 books in March for my physical TBR, which put me at 739. Yeah, and my total library total ended at 1,489 books for the month of March. So I definitely gained a lot. I gained like 127 books or something crazy like that. I had birthday money. I had my bonus from work. Like I spent a good portion in March, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did. It is what it is. At least it's not drugs, okay? That's what I tell Trevor all the time. I was like, it could be drugs. At least I'm not doing crack, you know? I'm buying books, but I'm not doing drugs. So, although I did see somebody compare on TikTok that buying books is similar to doing drugs because you like hide the purchases, or you don't talk about the books all the time with like everybody. You only talk about it with certain people. And I was like, you know what? Chocolate is not mixed in anymore. So, it is what it is. At least it's not drugs, it's books. But yes, in March I ended with a total of 739 books on my TBR and 1,489 books in my library. Now I have more than that because, again, this is March's reading wrap up. We just ended April. April was kind of crazy, but I did read more of my physical TBR in April than I did in March, and that was a win for me. That's my goal. I'm trying to do that every month. We will see if it happens in May. So let me go film. No, I keep saying film. I'm obviously doing that right now. Let me go edit this so I can get this posted and then do April's reading wrap up. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday, a great month, a great year, great, whatever it is when you watch this. Bye for now.